Welcome to the Saints, the City of Me, audio love letters to and from the city of New Orleans and our Saints. So we've had a bit of a hiatus, but we're back, and we are back with a bang, and we've got a really special guest for this episode. Big dog in the world of Saints reporting, one of the most recognisable figures in Saints football, revered by fans more than some players who've worn the black and gold. We're absolutely thrilled to welcome the Guvnor, the CEO, the founder of NewOrleans.Football, Mr. Nick Underhill. Nick, how you doing?
I got to start going with the Guvnor. Like it sounds better than that. Yeah. I'm gonna go with that from now on. So yeah, no, I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
We're all good. Funny you should say that, Nick, because Dan sent me a audio recording earlier today, just saying, "All right, this is the intro. Are you happy with it?" And he put Guvnor in there, and then when he sort of was going through it pre-show, Guvnor wasn't in there, and I asked him, could he please put Guvnor back? Yeah, so I'm pleased.
It's a good call. It's a good call. No, I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, no, that's great. It's just it makes it classier. You know, I'm not like I need some help there, so I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna use it.
Okay, yeah. There you go. That's now going to be on your letterhead, which will be good.
That's it.
A very quick one. You probably won't remember this, Nick, because myself and Dan were in particularly unhealthy states of drink intake. But we have met you. We have met you before, and it was at 9th Ward in October 22 when the Saints came over, and obviously our mutual friend James was the one who organised that, and it was a fantastic night. I think Dan at some point was talking to you about whether it would be safe for him to travel and watch the Eagles at their stadium. Was that right, Dan?
It was. I asked if it would be an uncomfortable environment for my family to go and watch the Saints away there.
That's it.
Nick said, "No, you'll be fine." And then you showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah, unfortunately, I showed up out of nowhere. I'd been out the previous night until 4 a.m. in the morning, and then I had to go to a brunch at 10:30. So I wasn't in great shape to begin the day with. And then Dan, we'll touch on it a little bit later, but the North London derby was on, and Dan's a Tottenham fan. I'm an Arsenal fan, so you know we're like that. So we went out. Him and his wife decided to buy me shots as well. So by the time we were going to Nightford, I decided to go to the hotel, freshen up, come back down to the bar. I turned up at the bar, and all my group of mates were in a circle. I turned up and said, all right, lads, I've had a shower, and something else. And then they sort of all looked round, and you were stood there, Nick, and I was like, oh my God, what sort of person does this man think I am? I then further embarrassed myself by saying, I'm a premium subscriber. And then I think I walked off. So I do apologize, Nick.
No, man, I love it. That was one of the best. That was one of the coolest things I think I've ever been a part of. I don't know, just kind of being on the other side of the world and just everybody kind of coming together the way they did. I mean, that was a special moment, I think, for anybody that was there. And I say that with completely genuine. Like it's a highlight of like my career of doing this. Like just that day, it was special, man. Like just everybody that was there. That whole week was really cool. And then just kind of seeing how everybody came together. And then obviously there was a ton of people from your side of the world and then people from my side of the world, and everybody's kind of together. Like how else could that have happened? Like it's just kind of like the internet. Sometimes I absolutely hate it, and then other times I absolutely love it because it makes stuff like that possible. And I mean, that's the good side of social media and all that stuff. And that was really, really cool to do.
Yeah, it was a.
I was a bit starstruck, and it was like it's only you guys there. Like it was all the beat writers, but I was standing in the bar and Mike Triplett was standing next to me, and he turned me and said, "Oh, I'm Mike Triplett. Nice to meet you." And I was like, "Yeah, I know who you are." And I just he was a player, but it was such a great day. It really was a great day.
Really was.
Anyway, it's such a successful evening that the bar was slowly running out of alcohol, and a number of people we knew popped down to a store down the road and bought extra drinks so they could have it outside. It was a very successful day and evening, and congratulations again to James for organising that. It was fantastic.
Yeah, no doubt. He did a great job putting that together.
Dan, do you want to crack on with a bit of Saints?
Yeah, we just want to know just generally, Nick, how OTAs and minicamp have treated you and the team at NOF. How have you found it this time around? New coaching staff and things like that.
Yeah, it's been really fun to kind of watch it and to see the new offense, and it's made it different. It used to be like you went out there and it was like the same thing happened at the same time in the same place, and you could just kind of set your watch by how practice was going, and it's it's just different now. Like you just see a whole new philosophy and a whole new mindset, and the offensive coaching staff is loud now, like they weren't before. Like you hear people getting yelled at, and I think that's kind of a refreshing thing after kind of just the last couple of years, just seeing and like actually tangibly being able to watch like accountability happen in real time. And I don't think that was happening before. The creativity with it on that side of the ball is something that definitely stands out. Just the very first day of OTAs, like seeing motion in a practice, like that was different. This very last practice, it's what was that, practice 6 that we've seen so far this summer? Yeah, the very last one, just kind of seeing like all the work on bootlegs and play action and all that stuff, and like legitimately watching it. Like sometimes your eyes end up in the wrong place, and that's a nice change of pace because that wasn't a huge part of the offense before. So I kind of like the way things are coming together. I got flamed pretty hard for tweeting that I thought Derek Carr looked good, but like I think he doesn't look like, obviously he should. Like if he was struggling without a pass rush, massive problem. If they had employed an offense and brought in an offensive philosophy that didn't suit him, like that would be incredibly alarming. So, I do think one thing that's very true about Derek is I think he's smart. Like I think he understands football. And then if you put him in an offense where there's predetermined reads due to the motion and you can kind of see the defense declare a little bit, like he's done well with it and the balls come out fast. Now, is that going to be real when there's live bullets and all that stuff like that? That's all to be determined. But to this point, I think it's looked pretty good. And you really can't judge nothing on defense, but I like the linebacker depth. I mean, it looks good there. It looks like they have real players there. They brought in Hudson, Ford, Willie Gay, Pete Werner. Looks like he's really understood the pressure that's being put on him. I think the cornerbacks look good. I think they got questions at safety. Obviously, major questions on the offensive line and defensive lines, but we can't really judge that right now. But I think the accountability factor and the vibe, like just with the team in general, is massively, massively improved. Last year, like it was palpable. Like before that little winning streak at the end of the year, I mean, it felt like it was a game away from imploding, and then like they managed to just start winning. And like we were having, just total honesty, like we were having staff meetings about like, all right, what are we gonna do if they lose this game? Like it's getting to that point. Like, could people get fired? Where do we we were starting to put together our plans because like I really truly believed like for a minute it was going to start falling apart, and obviously they turned it around. All credit to them, but it just feels different. Like I think Demario Davis like doing the church thing with Derek Carr is a big deal. Like it doesn't like they could have held a bowling event, like just them kind of doing something together. I thought was big. DeMario tweeting it and backing Dennis Allen, I thought was an important thing. Tyron doing the same thing, I thought was important. Like it just seems like there's a shift in just kind of like the buy-in and all that stuff, and you can feel it. It feels a little bit different now. If they lose their first 4 games, does that all go away? Probably, but for right now, like it's I think they're in a much healthier place than they were last year.
Yeah, that probably, Dan. I know you had a question that you probably wanted to put to Nick, something that you were discussing, I think, with Ross at one point about engagement farming. Is that something you want to touch on with Nick?
No, just to Nick's point there about people feeling good, and there's a bit of negativity in the internet at the moment. I don't really get that. To me, this is hope season. You just put the negativity aside and go, let's see what they can do. And I find it reassuring to see that the writers are saying that Carr's looking good, and it's only practice, but let's be hopeful. That for me, and I don't get what the negativity is. And I know you and Mike and Brandon talked about it on a pod a couple of episodes ago, Nick. You're not seeing where all this negativity is coming from about the team from what you're seeing it at practice. And I feel the same listening to you and Ross and John Hendricks and all the guys who are putting content out. I don't see why that negativity is so variant. What? And you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I understand like why it exists. Like being in the middle in the NFL is kind of the worst place you can be. It's the absolute worst place you can be because like it feels like how do you go up, and like when teams are bad, people get this idea of like, okay, season's over, but it's November 1st, and you're getting a top 5 pick, so you start having all these dreams about these guys that are going to come in and solve everything, and most of the time they don't. But like at least if you're in that spot, you can dream. Like if you're in the middle, like there's really nowhere to go with it. But the realistic thing is like since Dennis Allen took over, like they've like legitimately been like a middle tier team. Now I think it's a bad middle. Like it's not an enjoyable middle. Like the way they've been in the middle, it's bad in a race to the middle. Like that makes it a little bit harder to get excited about anything. So I get where it comes from, but at the same time, yeah, like it's a new season, it's a new start. There's a new offensive staff. Like let it get defined. Like I'm not saying because Derek Carr looks good on June 13th that he's going to look good against the Eagles when the season starts, but he looks okay today. Like let the process just kind of play out and let it define itself. And then when it's bad. But I think that's the thing that I've learned the most. Like I spent my whole career covering Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, Drew Brees and Sean Payton. And when there's peace at quarterback and coach, like a lot of the fighting and anger is gone. Even when the Saints were going 7-9 with Drew and Sean, like there was a sense of hope because people knew Drew was there. Like, okay, Drew's there. Like you can win 9 games with Drew every single year, like one way or another. So I think it feels a little bit different, but it's definitely shifted over the last few years. It's definitely a more angrier, just fan base. But I think that's a good thing too, though. It means that they were successful at some point and they aren't apathetic. And I think apathy is the thing to actually be scared of. Like as long as people are still pissed, like they still care. So that's not a bad place to be. But when nobody's saying anything and you've become the Lions before Dan Campbell, like that's when things are bad.
Yeah. You touched on accountability there, and it was something I've spoken to Dan about this in the past. So obviously, we're now hearing it in every presser now. Accountability seems to be a bit of a buzzword coming through. For the 2 years of the tenure of DA that was there, has the offensive changes sort of really changed the mindset of the whole sort of organization? Because there was always a problem, wasn't there, with accountability in the last couple of years? But now it really does seem to be a bit of a buzzword. Is that partly to do with the offensive changes?
Yeah. I mean, I think, definitely. I mean, it just kind of got away last year, and you could see it. And I think the uneven accountability. I wrote a story about it. Just kind of was like it felt uneven. Like everybody at times was being held accountable, except for like selective people. And I thought that was a problem. And I kind of felt that in the locker room. And that was a story I wrote, and it pissed off a few people, but I mean, like it was the truth. Like it just kind of felt that way, and you were hearing it. And I think it's more. I think that's something everybody kind of realized. I think you see a concerted effort from Derek Carr just to be different in general, like as far as just community outreach, doing stuff with the kids, and all that stuff. Like I think that's a good thing, just in terms of perception, but like within the building, like actual accountability. Like they're meeting as an offensive team now instead of in groups, which I think is great, because it means Clint Kubiak's up there and he's leading every single meeting, and they're only hearing his voice, and they're hearing him yell at Derek Carr for getting a read wrong. They're hearing him yell at Chris Olave. They're hearing him yell at Taysom Hill or Alvin, or and I think that's important, because if Derek can get lit up, that means that you can get lit up. If Chris can get lit up, that means anybody can get lit up. And I think if you see that, like, it just kind of helps. And then also, if you hear the wide receiver coach make a coaching point on how a route's run and you're a tight end, you're hearing it too, and that might help you. And if you're in separate rooms meeting, you might not get that same information. So I think it's just I think the whole approach has changed. And I think the fresh start is just really, really important. I think it's going to be good for this team. I think it you get 20 years with the same people, in little details, they get assumed instead of somebody telling you that this is how it's done. And, I don't know, if you're working in a new office building, somebody might show you where the thermostat is, but if everybody's been there for 20 years and you're the new guy, no one's going to tell you where it is and that it's hidden in a closet, because everybody knows where it is. And, I just think little stuff that isn't taken for granted and starting from zero can be a good thing. Now, it might not lead to more success, but like it can't hurt. Like I just kind of like the idea of everything they're doing right now.
Yeah, I've been with my wife for 29 years and things can be stagnant. So I get that. Thankfully, Nick, she doesn't listen to the pod, so I'm safe with that one.
There you go.
Otherwise, she'd be shredding my passport.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, we're all good on that. Dan, have you got probably a last little touch on the Saints? I think you had a question on comparing 3 individuals, didn't you, my friend?
No, I said which is more iconic to you, Nick? Bill Belichick's sleeveless tops, Peyton's juicy fruit, or DA's red Sharpie that I never see move?
I've seen DA take notes with it. He does use it. I did a story like where I watched him through the whole practice, and like it's funny you said that. I'm like, oh, he actually uses the pet. Like I see him take
he's just there.
It is, man. It just lives there. I think I think it's got to be like the Belichick hoodie. Like everybody knows the Belichick hoodie. Like if you see someone with the cutoff sleeves, like it's a Belichick hoodie.
It made a meme. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I got to go with it. Locally the juicy fruit's huge, but they still got the juicy fruit right when you walk in the locker room. There's like you come through the door and on the wall there's a juicy fruit thing right there. But I gotta go with the Belichick hoodie. Sean even cut his sleeves off once and was wearing a Belichick hoodie at one point. So it's got to be that one.
Well, yeah, and I think you're right, because I don't know if you remember, Dan, last year I got a hoodie that they actually now manufacture hoodies with cut off sleeves.
It's unbelievable,
with raggedy ass cut off sleeves. So yeah, I think it must be Bill. When the AFL start producing merch based on your cut off sleeves, I think you probably win that one. Going on to obviously we want to talk about your career, Nick, and your journey into sports journalism is quite unconventional. Dare say a bit surprising to some, because you were booted out of high school. Could you walk us through the beginnings of that journey? And was there like a pivotal moment or an influence in your early life that sort of steered you towards writing?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely a dumbass as a kid. I mean, I guess that's probably the best way to put it. I've never been good at doing things like I just don't want to do like it. But if I want to do something, I'm an all in or all out guy, kind of, just like in everything that I kind of do. It's probably unhealthy, like, honestly, but like it works for me, and that's just kind of the way it is. Like if I don't care about something, I can't like just go through the motions. And that was kind of the thing in high school. Yeah, I mean, I got booted out. I had to go to like an alternative school. I ended up going back and finishing, but like it took an extra year, and that was the path. Getting involved in writing. I mean, I had an 11th grade teacher, Mrs. Yopes. Like she definitely was the one that kind of made me believe that I could write. She saw it, thought I was good at it, set me up with the local newspaper. I did some like little stuff for them, writing about high school stuff nobody wanted to cover, but they'd let me do that, and that was kind of my taste into it. And I did that for a couple of years, but it kind of got pushed aside. It wasn't anything I really took seriously. After high school, worked concrete, landscaping, just a ton of terrible jobs. And eventually I got into college, but I had to go as a non-degree student. And like how that works here is like you can't get student loans or anything, but thankfully my dad worked in a mailroom at a college, so I could go 75% off. So I only had to come up with 25%. And I started going to that. The problem with that is you got to maintain a C average, and you got to take gen ed classes. So I was doing like the stuff that was related to like media journalism. I was doing okay in, but like, art history, classical
everything
music,
else,
math.
Couldn't give a shit about. Yeah.
Couldn't keep the C up. So, I get kicked out of there. Back out doing construction work, all that terrible stuff. Little time goes by. I go to community college. Like I do okay there for a while. And I hook on with a website called scout.com, and I started covering a minor league baseball team, and they gave me $500 for the whole entire season, like 140 some games or whatever. Like I covered all of them. But again, like, so I was doing fine in college at that point. Like I was dedicated, but then the spring, summer would come and I got minor league baseball going on, and like, I'm not going to sit in the classroom if I can go do this. So I'm doing that. I get kicked out of that college. So, but like that led to me meeting some people at the city newspaper, and I got a job there, like answering phones on a desk. And I would literally go in, phone would ring, and this is like like people being comfortable on the internet. So like I'm answering the phone, and it's like I'm just typing up box scores and like bowling scores, and it's 300 people in a bowling league. You got to take down every name, put down every score. And, I learned to never make a typo though. Cause like if you screw up like a regular person's name in the newspaper, they're calling and you're going to have to hear about it. So like, you learn to be very, very detailed. That was probably the most important thing I ever did in my life. But like I was covering cross country skiing, water polo, just really, really dumb stuff. So anyhow, I'm doing that. Third college comes up. I go to that one, Gannon. And I'm going there for a little bit, and first semester goes good. Second semester goes fine. But I see an ad for spring training. There was a newspaper, the Springfield Republican. They needed someone to cover spring training, the Red Sox, just for like a couple weeks. And I had done like a couple, like they had an NBA, I think it's called the G League now, but it was a D League at the time. Their team would come to where I lived, and I would cover those games for them and send it back. I seen this ad. and they needed someone down there. I lied to them and I said, hey, like, I'm going to be down there anyhow, like doing this, like I can cover the Red Sox for you guys. And they're like, cool. So I paid my own way down there. You know, I got no money. Like my family has no money, but max out every credit card I have to go down there, do that. Come back a few months later, like they asked me, hey, like, do you want to blog about the Patriots? I'm like, cool. Yeah, definitely. I want to blog about the Patriots. And it was set up I was going to make a penny a page view. But like, you know, hey, like I'm covering the Patriots for like a legitimate newspaper. So I call the Patriots, like, can I get credentials? Yeah, you can get credentials. So I started driving out for the games. It's 7, 8, 9 hours one way. Like I would drive out there, cover a game, and drive back home. Like sleeping
straight
in the car.
after the game.
Yeah, sleeping in the car, doing whatever, you know, getting as far as I could. Sometimes I get a hotel. They give me $75 though. So like I'm not making my gas money even, but like who cares? Like I'm going out here, I'm gonna do it. And so I'm doing this, going back and forth. It gets to October of that year, it's 2010. I just asked them, like, hey, can I move out there and like, will you guys pay me this to like cover practices, all that stuff? I'll cover the Celtics, I'll cover the Bruins, I'll do whatever. And yeah, okay, move out there. So I drop out of college for good at this point, never get my degree, move out there. I make like
booted out this time. It was your own choice this time.
I made like $35,000 the first year living in Boston. Like we're below the poverty line, like eating, you know, terrible food, can't pay my tax. Like I was a 1099 employee. Like you got to pay your own taxes. I don't pay my own taxes. Like I'm owing the IRS money for like 2 years. Second year, I can't pay my taxes. But like I just kept going and kept grinding, and like, you know, eventually they hire me on full time. Eventually I pay off my tax bill. Eventually the advocate calls and I moved to New Orleans, and you know, it all kind of worked out. Looking on it now, like I would never tell anyone to do any of the things I think.
No.
They were all incredibly stupid and naive, but like dumb belief paid off.
We've got a question which was going to be, what would you say to an aspiring sports journalist? I think you've just answered what you shouldn't do. Anything else is a pathway in.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if the pathways exist the same way anymore. Like my advice used to be like, go do whatever. Like go cover the water polo, go cover the high school golf. Like, and I think that stuff is important to kind of make your mistakes where nobody's looking. But at the same time, like you can create your own audience now. Like the idea of having to do this for somebody with a name over your head, like it doesn't matter. Like you just create your own audience. Like just make interesting, engaging content. I'm not as good at this as I used to be, but I would say like reply to every tweet you get. Like make sure you're available to your audience. Like genuinely care. Like just be in the moments. Like when something's happening, be in the moment. Like I'm always so surprised. Like something happens and you'll just see like some people just like, I don't know, like the Eagles make a big trade and like there's a guy that I know is always going to be like tweeting, talking about it like right then. And like you just capture the audience. You're in the moments with them. Like just care about the same stuff they care about, but like genuinely care about it. Because if you care, you're probably going to be good at your job and you're going to want to show up and it's not going to feel like work. Like if I'm not excited, it's a bad example, like, but it's a bad thing, but you're still like interested in it. If I'm not interested in Alvin Kamara not showing up for practice, like, what am I like? Why am I even at practice? Like
exactly.
If what was the one the other day? Something happened. Whatever it is, like if you aren't like, man, I want to talk about this. I want to write something. I want to create something about it. Like if you aren't excited to do that, like it's just I don't know. Like once I lose that, like I'll go do something else. Cause like if this starts feeling like work, like it's gonna be miserable. Like you can't put in the time that it takes to like actually cover a team, like because everybody cares. Like your whole audience cares about every single small detail. And, you know, I don't ever have to manufacture that feeling. Thank God. And you know, I hope I always feel the way I do, but there's definitely people that don't at a certain point. And I think, you know, it's tough to do it when you aren't that passionate about it.
I was going to say with like over 100,000 followers you've got now on Twitter. It's got to be hard to reply to as many tweets as that. You're probably beating yourself up a little bit there. Like I wouldn't be able to.
I try to. Yeah, I try to. There's just like there's a lot of trolls and stuff too. Like sometimes like absorbing that. Like I don't know. Like when the season's bad, it's like I'm just not looking at my mentions because like it just. I understand everybody's frustrated, but like they'll tweet their frustration at me. Like I can cure the problem. And it's like I can't. But sometimes you got to protect your energy a little bit. But you know, it's just kind of I don't know. Like man, like it's just still like somebody reads my stuff and it's just like unbelievable. Like if I'm at the grocery store and someone's like, hey, like I really like that story you wrote. And it's like, wow, like you read a story I wrote. Like it's just it's a true honor that like somebody is spending their time with like the stuff you're doing, and I never want to take that for granted. Like it's like really, it's an unbelievable thing. Like I was eating one day and I seen somebody wearing one of our t-shirts, like walking down Magazine Street. And like, it was just like the most surreal thing in the world. It's like, wow, people actually, I know, man, like it's unbelievable. Like it's such I mean, that's special to me though. Like it really is. Like people care enough about the stuff we're doing.
We got the
now, how'd you get the beer? How'd you get the beer?
We were over. We were over.
Oh, you brought it back. Nice.
Yeah,
right.
we smuggled them back from the UK.
Oh man, that's huge. Yeah, great. International crimes. I'm inspiring.
We're going to edit that bit out, Nick.
Jay did such an incredible job on that can. Jay Frost.
We had Jay on one of our early episodes. He's such a cool,
amazing guy. Yeah, great spirit.
I was going to say, just going back to the things you're talking about. So one of the questions I had was like, you guys are like, a lot of you as writers are treated almost like celebrities in New Orleans. I've seen people like fawning over, like looking for where you live or like looking at like stuff like that. It's just like crazy. Is that like crazy for you? Like, I'm just doing my job and the people like almost putting you up and like clambering over you like you're like a player. Sometimes it's got to freak you out at times, or maybe not freak you out, but you're like, you know.
I never think of it that way. I don't know. Like it's insane to me that like people like say hi though. You know what I mean? It's just like it's crazy. Like it's just crazy. Because like I go, well, you know what I mean? Like I go home and I know I'm a dumbass. You know what I mean? Like I know I'm just like an idiot like everybody else. And like, you know, people every now and then like someone will be like act nervous and it's like, whoa, like relax. Like like I'm an idiot, like just like you. Like I just couldn't figure out how to change my tire a half hour ago. Like I'm a moron. Yeah. Like it's you know.
Oh, we it's before we started this.
I mean, it's crazy though. Yeah, no, it's amazing that people, but really, it's not me they care about. Like they just care about their team that much, and I'm just the vessel of that, or Ross is the vessel of that, or Kat's the vessel of that, and we're just kind of, you know, we're lucky to be extensions of that, and that we're lucky to like. You know, the word I use is serve a fan base that like really gives a shit about literally everything, and that's what makes it amazing. And you know, I've covered different teams. Like people care a little bit more. It's a little bit different, you know. So
On that point, just one last thing. You probably won't remember this, Nick, but a really good friend of mine back in 2017, they brought GDPR into Europe, so we couldn't access the Advocate anymore because they didn't want to deal with the rules. A friend of mine emailed you and said, "How can I get your articles?" And you would send him them over email. Each week.
I remember doing that.
And he was just like blown away, because he was like, I can't believe this guy's doing this. Like, but I just wanted to put it out there for like people who hear this to say like that's the kind of things you've done for fans, so they can still read your material and still have access to that kind of stuff, and which I think is great.
Yeah. No, I forgot about that until you just said it. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, look, it's like I said, if someone wants to spend time on my work, like I'm gonna do the best I can, you know. And there's people that'll email me and be like, hey, I can only afford like $3 a month for the website, and it's like, okay, cool, like we'll set it up. Like I want to, like I wish I could just give it, like just the model doesn't work. And look, truth be told, like I tried to get jobs other places and nobody wanted me to come back, so like I came back the only way I could. So, you know, but yeah, whatever we can do to try to let people enjoy our stuff. Like I'm open to.
Sorry, Nick. We know we haven't got very much more time with you, but we're now going to segue into a very important subject, which is soccer. Dan, I think you might want to take this one first, don't you, mate?
Well, I don't want to misspeak, but I believe you're also a Tottenham fan, Nick.
Yeah, I am. Look, I'm a phony though right now. You know, I didn't pay a ton of attention this season. Like we were doing. We were transitioning. We were doing so many more podcasts every week, so many more shows. Like it took me so long to figure out how to manage my time to the best of my ability, and I feel like we finally kind of figured it out recently. But yeah, I'm like a lapsed Tottenham fan right now a little bit.
What do I say about
Dan is as well? Yeah, Dan's very same.
I'm genuinely happy that you're on, because every American guest we seem to have on either supports Arsenal or Mike convinces them to support Arsenal. So we had Doug Tatum on, and Mike convinced Doug Tatum to become an Arsenal fan. And I was just like, what is going on here? So I'm really pleased to have someone who is a lapsed Tottenham fan, just like me, to come on.
I went to the game when we were over there, and it didn't turn out too great, but got to see the Kane PK, so that was that was good. But that was an amazing atmosphere, though.
That was one of the things we were going to say, because obviously, you've covered lots of big football games in the States. You've probably been into other sports in the States, and Dan would probably be better placed to talk about that, because he's been to baseball and ice hockey. What did you find about the atmosphere that was sort of alluring and sort of pulled you in? It's a completely different type of atmosphere, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's. I'd be interested to hear your guys' take on it, is the reverse of it, because I'm not in that type of atmosphere all the time. So the first time you're in it, it's kind of overwhelming. Like it feels like more of a living, breathing type of thing. And you can kind of just feel like it's a different sport too. Like you could just kind of feel the tension, just building, and then there's like the moment of release, and it's just kind of. It's breathtaking to kind of feel it and actually kind of just like feel the wind just get sucked in, and then just the explosion. It was different. I mean, I was blown away by it. I was just kind of, I had my hair was standing up kind of the whole time. Like it was unbelievable to me. But it's probably the same feeling you guys have. Like I used to watch the games middle of the night. Like my grandma sold the God rest her soul, she sold like illegal cable boxes, and there was a soccer channel on them.
Respect.
Yeah, I used to watch the games in the middle of the night and that. So like it was just this like faraway land that wasn't like real, and then like to kind of actually be in there and everything. I'm sure you guys that's probably the same thing you guys kind of feel. But yeah, it's completely different. It's something that I think everybody needs to experience just once. Like it's an unbelievable place to be.
It's also, you sort of touch on it there, that the pace of the game is faster. So there are no breaks in play really, and so everyone's attention for full 90 minutes is sort of in that arena. But also soccer, and I mean, you picked a fantastic game to go to. It's tribal as well, and I don't think you get that so much. Well, certainly not in American football. Maybe there are some fan bases that are a little bit like that, but it is very tribal, and you get that a lot in soccer over here. There are, especially teams that share the same city, because, myself and Dan are from London. And when we grew up, I think we had 10 different options of teams that we could support that were in the borders of London. So that's part of the tribalism, is that it's all about the local area that you're brought up in.
Yeah, I mean, look, like even just like the walk off the train to the stadium, like and just everybody kind of walking through the neighborhood together and all that, like that adds to it, I think, too. Like it's just different. Like it was amazing though. It was one of the best things I've ever done.
Dan, have you got anything? Yeah. Well, you
we can keep going. If you guys want to keep going, we can keep going. I got time.
No, yeah, that's it. That's great for us. We were just unsure of how much time we have, my friend.
Yeah, I got to call it too. So like I can go like right up until 2.
Brilliant. Cool. Dan, do you want to? There was the thing about Paul Mitchell, previous guest that we had on. Dan, do you want to sort of maybe touch on that?
Yeah, so we had a guy on called Paul Mitchell. He's actually he's a Saints fan, but he commentates on Scottish Premier League football. So he's like calls the plays. Well, you know what a commentator is. And we just wondered, like, would you? Don't laugh at me. Would you like consider like you covered a lot of sports? Would you feel confident covering like soccer and writing about it from your experience? Because you've done so many different sports.
I think it would take. Look, yeah, at a time I would have been comfortable doing it, but like now, I know how much work it took to like kind of know the sport I cover. Like, and if I did anything else, I would feel super phony. Like I remember covering hockey, man. I knew nothing about it. I covered the Bruins a year. They went to the Stanley Cup Finals, and I was like literally reading the closed captions like up on the TV, like to figure out what was going on. And like a guy, like it'd say something like, "Oh, like he shot from the point." Like I don't know what the hell the point. Like I don't know what the point is. Like, but like, okay, like this is the language I got to use. So like I was faking it. I would feel like such a phony if I did it now. The only other sport that
just need Chat GPT. That's all. You'll be fine.
I don't know if there's another sport I would feel comfortable going out and covering. Like maybe basketball. Like I feel like I could do okay on a basketball game. At one point, baseball for sure. That's kind of what I wanted to do, but I haven't watched a baseball game in probably 10 years. Like it's just got, I don't know. The world changed and it's just so boring now to watch. Like in person, cool, but like on TV, I can't do it. Basketball is probably the only other one that I feel like I could do okay, but like Christian Clark would smoke me. Like I wouldn't want to be going against like Christian Clark or Will or any of those guys. Like they actually know what they're doing. I wouldn't want to be in that room.
Yeah, stay in your lane. You know what I mean. But excuse me. When you were growing up, then were you a bit of a sports junkie? I get the feeling that you were, because obviously that this pathway that the teacher sort of led you towards writing. But when you were talking about, it would almost be like you would cover any sport in order to be able to get to where you wanted to be. But were you also, as a child, a bit of a sports junkie? You watched all the sports, and how did you get into properly into soccer? I know you were saying about your grandmother, but were you really into it when you were a child? Because I believe you played soccer, didn't you, when you were younger?
Yeah, no, I played soccer for sure. Yeah, that's how I got into it. That's all I did is I played soccer. I was on 3 different teams. I was on a pretty good travel team. Not like, we travel around the country, play different teams. And then 9th grade, I tore my patella. Then I came back, tore my patella again. Then when I was older, I was playing soccer at a church picnic with like little kids. Like I'm like 22, 23 years old, kicking the ball around with like literally like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. And like I kicked the ball and my patella just tore again, like right there. Like one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. Yeah. So that was it. Like I never really got to play in high school. I played 2 years in high school, but like, yeah, I tore my knee the one time in 9th grade. And then I came back and I played my 13th year, my 13th grade year, the actual year in high school. But yeah, that's how I got into it. I was probably more of a Liverpool fan back then. Like they had Michael Owen. Michael Owen was like the dude that I like really like watch him play. He was someone I kind of attached to a little bit. Katana was a guy I like watching. Like there were a handful of people. Yeah. But yeah, no, like it was harder to follow. Like we didn't really have the internet then, but like I would, there was a Fox Sports channel and they would play the games like middle of the night and I would watch them. But yeah, I watched everything. Baseball was my main thing growing up though. Like that was kind of what I wanted to do. I like the St. Louis Cardinals. 1998, the Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa thing was like, a big pivotal thing in my life. But yeah, man, pre-internet, like you used to just kind of, I say pre-internet, but like pre-modern internet, like there was nothing to do. Like you watched anything. Like it was just, okay, there's a game on and here's a way to fill 3 hours of my life. Like, so that's kind of what I would jump into and kind of, I would watch everything, do everything. And, back then I was definitely more comfortable, except hockey. Like I never actually knew hockey.
Yeah. But by the time that dial-up connection.
Go on, Mike.
No, sorry, Dan. Go on, mate.
I just asked what position you played when you played soccer.
Yeah, I was a forward. Nice. I didn't want to run the whole field. Just let me get my moments of glory, and that was it. Yeah.
As we used to say in England, you're a bit of a goal hanger. Basically,
there
that's
we
what
go.
you were.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. We all had those players when we were kids.
In life, I feel like I'm more of a midfielder now. Like I'll do the dirty work and run the whole 90 minutes. But yeah, at that point in my life, I just, I just wanted to get my moments.
Get the glory.
Can I ask you, Nick? Because obviously, when you were sort of talking about your journey into journalism and all the things that you were willing to do in order to sort of make your way, that's an amazing work ethic. And I think both myself and Dan can see it today. You sort of talk about it even today. You've sort of spoken about where does that work ethic come? Because you've got an unbelievable drive and ambition, but that's all backed up with a work ethic. And where does that come from?
I mean, I think that's the only thing I can really control. Like I don't think I'm a good writer. I don't think I'm a great talker. I don't think I'm a great, podcast. So like, I know that like I got to work at that stuff and I'm constantly kind of working at it. But like the one thing I can control is like, I'm going to show up. Like if something happens in the middle of the night, I'm going to show up. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to go. Like I can just show up. Like I never want to lose something by not showing up. And like just the idea of something happening and not being there and somebody just being there and I'm not, like, I don't know. Like I can't I can't stomach that. I can't stomach that idea. It's just kind of like
Does
it's
it
just
burn
so.
you up inside?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, like something
Yeah.
about like if you go to a game 3 hours before the game starts, and if I just go there 3 hours before it starts, I'm going to be there when everybody comes out on the field. I'm going to be able to see if somebody picked up a walking boot during the week or, between Friday, the last time we saw them, and Sunday morning. And I'll be able to see that. I'll be able to see who the actual game time decisions are and how they're going through. And, I think there's value of just standing there and then everybody that you're covering seeing you working, and like you're just kind of a constant presence. And I think people kind of respect that a little bit. So I think that's just something that I always want to make sure I'm doing. And yeah, like if like, it's weird to talk about this stuff. I don't want to like tout myself, but like the Mike Thomas arrest, like that was a very minor thing, but like we stayed on it until we figured it out. And we put out a video at like 3 a.m. Like that's just kind of what it took. And then everybody else is, on it the next morning. Like it's just kind of, I can show up and control that though. Like I can be there. I can't control that I'm going to have the best video or that I'm going to write it the best or anything like that. But like if I can just show up and do it, and that's just kind of something that I don't know. I feel like that's just kind of the only thing that's the only thing I believe I'm good at, because like I know I can do it. Or just breaking down film, like it's a very brutal thing. Like I hate doing it sometimes, but like you just got to do it and you go through it, and it's just being willing to kind of sit through that is something that I take some pride in being able to do, and just kind of those tough situations. I can control not giving up or showing up, and those are the only things I can do. And I don't think I'm good at anything else, but like that's it. That's the only thing I want to have. Like when I'm done, like I just want people to be like, damn, that guy worked hard. Like, and that's it until the end. Like I don't ever want to be someone that gave up. I don't want it to be like, man, you should have seen how hard that guy worked before. Like, no, like just start to finish. Damn, that guy worked hard. Like that's the only thing I want. I want to be known for.
Yeah, you obviously we've seen sorry, Dan, we've seen an interview with you where obviously you were talking about the fact that you gave up drinking because that was getting in the way of your ability to be this driving force. And I remember you had a quote which resonated with me as a Brit, which was, if I'm drinking, I'm drinking. And that would get in the way. And so having a conscious thought that actually I've got to remove that from my life in order to sort of attain what I want to attain and to be who I want to be, and is, again, from my perspective, that's incredible drive, incredible commitment, and also to a point, I suppose, sacrifice, because I'm sure you've sacrificed other things in your life, and we know you have from your early journey into journalism. So I'm very impressed by that. I just wanted to say it's a human condition that I wish I had.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, it's a self-control aspect too. Like there's just kind of, like if I do something, it's the all or nothing. Like and I just kind of I recognize that it was going to be destructive to just being successful in life, and it was at one point. So like it was just something that kind of had to it just kind of had to go away a little bit. My advice now is it's Sour Patch Kids. I believe you guys can't get them over there. Like I think there's something about
no, we can.
Yeah,
probably not the same version, but we get a version. They're probably not as good.
All right. Yeah, I know there's something about like the dye that like maybe causes cancer, so like I need to stop eating them.
I think it's more the case, Nick, that Dan lives in the East End of London or near the East End of London. They're all quite dodgy over there, so he can probably get some back of a truck somewhere.
We've got a lot of American sweet shops or candy stores which get it all imported. So I get all, like the local one to me has all like the little Wayne.
They're all money laundering shops.
Bags of chips and probably, but I don't care. I'll send my money to get stuff that I only get when I come to America.
All right. Well, I'm coming over in a few weeks, so you got to tell me where to get the Sour Patch Kids. So I gotta know where to get my fix.
We'll be in a dodgy corner somewhere in London, just giving you back to Sour Patch.
Just get yourself to East London, Nick, and you'll find them all over the place. Some guy creeping up when you're saying, "Do you want some Sour Patch, mate?"
He's got a little hat on like this and covered in tattoos.
Dan, I know you had a really, really good question about. It was sort of based around Aaron Hernandez, wasn't it? That I think you sort of wanted to touch on.
No. So I was just
not about Aaron Hernandez.
No, not about Aaron Hernandez. So we was so obviously we when we was arranging this, you said you was coming over to the UK and stuff. And one of the things I was going to say to you, like, do you have like an out of office? Because obviously you got the team around you now. So, but if you was here and like a story like Hernandez broke, and I know I went back and read a lot of your mass live articles about that, and you was like camped outside his house and stuff. But how would you handle it if you was outside the country and a story of that magnitude broke? What do you do? Do you just go, fuck it, I've got to go home? Or...
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, no doubt about it. Like something happened. Oh yeah, I'm out of here. Like immediately, like we're leaving. It doesn't matter what it costs. Like we're coming back, and like my wife understands that too. Like it would be ruined. Like there would be no point in staying because it wouldn't be like, well, Mike and Brandon are going to handle this, and like we can just chill. Like it just wouldn't. It wouldn't work. Like I would no longer be present. Like she understands. Like God bless her. Like I don't. Sometimes I don't know how she can tolerate it. But I'm lucky to find somebody that's incredibly understanding, unbelievably supportive, and just, is tolerant of someone like me. Like can't be the easiest situation in the world. And, she understands it, and there's never like really any grief. Like the Hernandez thing, like, yeah, like I was out there every single day. So was she. Like she was going there with me. Like it was just like, well, he's gonna be there. Like, or she would go to work and like drive up there and just like sit in the car. Like it was just kind of like, all right, well, this is him, and this is what he's doing. I'll go do it with him. I mean, that's just who Sue is. She's an incredible person.
Yeah, I was really glad when. Sorry, Nick. Sorry, Dan. Just very quickly on that point. I was really glad when you initially answered it, where you said we'd be on a plane. I had this image of Sue sitting on Brick Lane in London with a coffee in her hand and some papers up in the air as you just disappeared. So,
no, she understands, man. Like I'm very lucky to have somebody like that, because and I think that's part of it. Like if she was anybody else, like I don't know that I could do it the way I do it.
No, without a doubt, a huge, massive part of your personal success, without a doubt.
No doubt.
Yeah. Damn, mate, sorry.
That's all right. I was going to ask Nick if he was actually there when they perp walked him, but it's not really.
Yeah, no, it was. I didn't leave, man. Like it was very nice. There was like a bird that kept like flying in my car. Like it was a crazy time, but it was like that was kind of the thing that like literally like put me on the map, because like it was a lot of news reporters out there. The sports reporters weren't going out. Like they were kind of letting the news people go out, and that was a very eye-opening thing to me. It's kind of like, well, Patriots fans, they know the Patriots reporters. They don't really know these other people. So like just kind of being out there and doing it. And then like other sports reporters started like amplifying me. And then, I was able to kind of break a couple little things on it. And like, that's kind of where I went from like, nobody knew who I was to like people knew who I was. And, I think that was kind of big for me. Because like I ended up getting down here because Ian Rappaport like recommended me for the job, and he was a Patriots reporter. Like we crossed paths for like a year. I didn't really know him though. It was just a completely different beat. There's like 50 people every day covering the Patriots. Like down here, it's like 10. So you can work side by side with people and like not really know who they were. I was kind of like new at the time, and he was on his way to NFL Network. But I kind of think that put me on the radar of people like him and other people. And it was a big moment in my career, a weird thing to kind of have started, but like that was something that really kind of like drove home that like just showing up thing though. Like it's just all right, you sit out there the whole time, but like it's gonna pay off, and it I think things that are hard to do, if you endure them and find a way to do them, like they often do lead to something that's worthwhile.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, I had one question. We all know you're a big hip hop fan. How are you with your UK hip hop? Do you know much UK hip hop? Because it's on the rise.
Yeah, a little bit.
You can say no, it's fine. We're not going to judge you for it.
I don't really like. I know a couple of them. Like I know like Dave's a guy, right? Like he's somebody that I kind of know a little bit. I don't know a ton of them. There's a guy like his name. Yeah, I'm not going to fake it. Like there's a few that I'm aware of, but like I don't know their music too deeply.
Nick, I don't know many. I can name a couple of them. I'm over 50. My kids, I could get my kids on there, because when we were prepping for this, it was like I might just phone my kids up and say, "Kids," but I'm talking to Nick. If he knows a few, who should I say I know?
Here's the thing: like the gateway into like a lot of the London guys is Drake, and like I'm the original Drake hater, so it's kind of missed me a little bit. Like he's kind of the guy that has brought like a lot of them onto the map. But yeah, I mean, it's not. it's not my like I tried listening to the Dave album. It's like black with like a blue cover. I kind of remember it. Like I know it got a lot of hype. Like it just kind of wasn't for me. But I mean, I'm not knocking it.
No, I think that was the one that was very London focused on his experiences. And I think you're not from the London or from UK or even London.
Psychodrama, was that the name of it or something like that?
Psychodrama.
Yes, Psychodrama. Yeah, it was all about his background and his life growing up. And I think if you're not from UK or even London, it probably would have been difficult to pick up. I just wanted to ask, just because I know you're big on it, and you people like to engage you on that as much as they do about the Saints at times on Twitter. Yeah. So just out of interest.
Yeah, and finally, I'd like to, because this yet again, it's great that you've sort of given us insight, Nick, into your journey down to the city, because obviously our podcast is about international fans predominantly and how they sort of either fell in love with the city or fell in love with the team, and obviously the city had a huge impact on you, so you obviously came back. Where apart from and we're going to do a sort of a sponsor thing here, apart from Firehouse Subs, New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Co., and of course PJ's Coffee, what place do you personally like to eat or hang out in and around the city?
So I think I'm not a fancy guy. Like if it's got like a white tablecloth, like it's really not for me. If I can't feel comfortable wearing just like a t-shirt, like I don't really want to go. Like my favorite like semi fancy place is Herb Saint. Like that's probably like a special occasion or whatever. Like that's kind of where I'm going, but like it's not too stuffy. So I like that one a lot. Place that like the place I probably eat the most, I guess right now. So I'm kind of like someone goes back to the all or nothing. Like I'm all in on a place forever, and then it's just like I'll eat so much of it that I don't need to go back ever again. Like I've been eating Juan's Flying Burrito like nonstop. Like it's a Mexican place. Before that, it was La Corretta's, which is just kind of down the street on Magazine. There's an El Paso right here I go to a lot. Rum House is another one that I kind of like a lot. Like those are all kind of right in my neighborhood. Those are kind of the spots that we go to a lot. Sue's vegetarian. I eat meat, so like it's kind of the like Mexican food is kind of like the sweet spot for us, that where she's getting something that has flavor and I'm happy with what I'm eating. So those are usually kind of the spots that we go to. I'm not like usually hanging out in like bars or anything like that. Like it's just kind of we get dinner, we go to the movies, and that's just kind of low key, quiet, stress free life.
You're a big fan of the movies, aren't you, Nick? What's your favorite? Can I ask you what your favorite 2 films that you've seen this year are?
This year, I saw The TV Glow. It's kind of a weird movie, but it left me with the feeling that like I've never. I don't know. It was like I still think about it. Like it's
right.
It creates a reaction. It's kind of uncomfortable to watch, but it's like really, really well done. I could see it being boring to people though. Like I don't know that I'd recommend it, but like for me, it was kind of something that I really liked. Man, I like dumb, fun, don't think about movie. Like I really kind of like the new Bad Boys. Like I just saw it and like it was a good movie. So like we're on 2 opposite ends of the spectrum there. I think those 2 are I mean, I don't know. There's been a handful of good ones. But man, I saw The TV Glow. Like it just kind of, I can't even tell you what it was about. Like it's just one of them movies, but like you watch it and like you feel that tension and stuff the whole time, and it's just like whatever they were trying to achieve. Like it was absolutely achieved.
Well, there you go. I've just given you a new idea for NOF. You can have a little sidebar where you talk about your movie reviews.
There you go.
I think that's something that we all
I love it. I love it.
Nick Underhill's movie reviews. From my point of view, Nick, we know obviously you've got a call in a few minutes. So personally, unless Dan's got another really important question you ask Dan, no. Nick, thank you so much for sparing your time and coming on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure for us.
Yeah, same here. But this was fun. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm glad we got it hammered out and we did it. And this was fun, man. Thank you.
No, appreciate you coming on, Nick. It was great. If you need anything when you're in London, you know where we are. Just give us a shout and we can help you out if you need anything.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
I've got it for you. I've got it covered, mate. Yeah. On that note, we'll say goodbye. Goodbye.